The first hour of your morning is the most powerful hour of the day. It quietly sets the direction for everything that follows. When you wake up without intention, the day controls you. When you wake up with discipline, you control the day. Winning the first hour is not about perfection. It is about ownership. It is the decision to start your day on your terms rather than react in demands, distractions, and noise. Most people lose the day before it even begins. They wake up and immediately check their phone, scroll through messages, and absorb other people's emotions, problems, and opinions. This habit places the mind in a reactive state. Instead of leading the day, they chase it. When the first hour is lost to distraction, focus becomes weak and energy becomes scattered. Winning the first hour means creating a simple, repeatable routine that strengthens the mind. This hour should be protected from unnecessary input. Silence, movement, and intention are more valuable than entertainment. Even a few minutes of stillness helps calm the nervous system and sharpen awareness. When the mind is quiet, clarity naturally emerges. Physical movement in the first hour is essential. The body and mind are connected. Movement increases energy, improves mood, and creates momentum. It does not need to be intense. Stretching, walking, or light exercise is enough to signal discipline to the mind. When the body is active early, mental resistance weakens throughout the day. Another critical part of the first hour is mental direction. This is the time to remind yourself of your goals, values, and purpose. Without direction, effort becomes random. A few minutes spent thinking about what truly matters aligns your actions with intention. When purpose is clear in the morning, distractions lose their pull. The first hour is also where discipline is trained. Motivation is unreliable, but discipline is built through repetition. When you consistently wake up and follow your routine regardless of mood, you strengthen self-trust. Each morning becomes a small victory. These small wins accumulate and form confidence. Winning the first hour also improves emotional control. When you begin the day calmly, stress has less influence. You respond rather than react. This emotional stability affects conversations, decisions, and performance. Pressure feels lighter when the mind is already centered. In conclusion, winning the first hour is about intention, discipline, and control. It is not about doing everything, but about doing the right things. When you protect and optimize the first hour, the rest of the day follows naturally. Focus improves, energy stabilizes, and confidence grows. Win the first hour, and you do not chase success, you lead it. Your thoughts are not harmless background noise. They are the foundation of your reality. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every habit you build begins as a thought. What you repeatedly think becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes how you live. When you understand this connection, you realize that mastering your thoughts is not optional, it is essential. The mind is constantly creating interpretations. Two people can experience the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes, not because of the event itself, but because of how they thought about it. Thoughts influence emotions, emotions influence behavior, and behavior shapes results. This chain operates continuously, whether you are aware of it or not. Negative thinking creates a limited reality. When your thoughts are dominated by fear, doubt, or self-criticism, your actions become cautious and hesitant. Opportunities are avoided, risks feel dangerous, and growth feels unreachable. Over time, these thoughts reinforce a reality of stagnation. This is not bad luck, it is conditioned thinking. Positive thinking alone is not enough. Reality is shaped by disciplined thinking. This means choosing thoughts that are aligned with truth, growth, and responsibility. It is not about ignoring problems. It is about approaching them with solutions in mind. Disciplined thinkers ask, what can I control? What can I improve, or what action can I take? These questions create progress. The morning is a powerful time to shape thought patterns. The mind is more receptive early in the day. Thoughts planted in the morning tend to influence the entire day. When you start the day with clarity and intention, your reality follows that direction. When you start with worry or distraction, the day reflects that chaos. Repetition strengthens thought patterns. The thoughts you entertain daily become automatic. This is why consistency matters. Replacing negative self-talk with constructive dialogue requires awareness and repetition. Over time, the mind adopts new defaults. Reality begins to shift because behavior shifts. Thoughts also influence perception. When your mindset changes, the same environment feels different. Challenges appear manageable, failures become lessons, and effort feels meaningful. This change in perception creates emotional strength. You feel less overwhelmed because your thoughts are no longer working against you. In conclusion, your thoughts become your reality because they guide your emotions, actions, and habits. By mastering your thoughts, you master the direction of your life. Choose clarity over chaos, discipline over fear, and responsibility over excuses. When your thinking becomes intentional, your reality becomes powerful, purposeful, and aligned with growth. Motivation is powerful, but it is unreliable. It comes and goes with mood, energy, and circumstance. Consistency, on the other hand, is steady, disciplined, and dependable. When motivation fades, consistency carries you forward. This is why consistency always beats motivation in the long run. Real growth is built through repeated action, not emotional excitement. Motivation often feels strong at the beginning. It creates enthusiasm and momentum. However, motivation is tied to emotion, and emotions change. On difficult days, motivation disappears. If progress depends only on motivation, growth stops the moment things feel uncomfortable. Consistency removes this weakness. It does not wait for the right feeling, it acts regardless. Consistency builds habits, and habits shape identity. When you show up every day, even in small ways, you reinforce the identity of someone disciplined and reliable. This identity becomes self-sustaining. You no longer need motivation because action feels natural. Discipline replaces resistance. Consistency also creates confidence. Each small action completed daily becomes proof of self-trust. Over time, these small wins accumulate. Confidence is not built through sudden success. It is built through keeping promises to yourself. Consistency strengthens this trust. Another advantage of consistency is resilience. Motivation often collapses under pressure. Consistency thrives under structure. When life becomes chaotic, routines provide stability. This stability protects progress. Even slow progress continues when consistency is present. Consistency also simplifies decision-making. When actions are habitual, there is less mental debate. You eliminate excuses and overthinking. The question is no longer whether you feel like doing something. It is simply what you do. This clarity saves mental energy. In the long term, consistency compounds results. Small daily actions create massive change over time. This compounding effect is invisible in the beginning, but powerful later. Many quit because results are slow. Consistent individuals understand that patience is part of discipline. In conclusion, motivation is a spark, but consistency is the engine. Motivation may start the journey, but consistency finishes it. When you choose consistent action over emotional inspiration, growth becomes inevitable. Show up daily, even imperfectly. Over time, consistency will build strength, confidence, and results that motivation alone never could. Silence is one of the most underrated tools for mental strength and self-growth. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, notifications, and endless conversations, silence becomes a rare discipline. Yet, it is in silence that clarity is formed. When external noise is reduced, the mind finally has space to think, reflect, and understand itself. Silence is not emptiness, it is a powerful environment where truth becomes visible. When you step into silence, your thoughts slow down. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin observing. This observation creates awareness. Awareness allows you to separate what truly matters from what only feels urgent. Many people live in constant reaction mode, responding to others, situations, and emotions without direction. Silence interrupts this cycle. It gives you control over your attention. Silence also strengthens decision-making. When the mind is crowded with voices, advice, and pressure, decisions become confused. Silence removes unnecessary influence. It helps you hear your own inner voice clearly. This inner voice is often drowned out by fear, doubt, and comparison. Through silence, intuition becomes sharper, and choices become aligned with values rather than impulse. Another powerful benefit of silence is emotional regulation. Strong emotions often grow louder when constantly expressed or fueled by external input. Silence creates distance between emotion and action. Instead of reacting immediately, you gain time to process. This pause builds emotional intelligence. You learn to respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. Over time, this control becomes a source of strength. Silence also reveals self-truth. Without distractions, uncomfortable thoughts surface. Many people avoid silence because it exposes insecurities, regrets, and fears. However, facing these thoughts is necessary for growth. Silence does not create problems, it reveals them. Once revealed, they can be addressed, understood, and transformed. This honesty builds clarity and inner stability. In silence, discipline is sharpened. You become more aware of habits, routines, and patterns. This awareness allows correction. You notice where energy is wasted and where focus is required. Silence supports structure. It helps you set priorities and eliminate distractions. This clarity leads to more intentional action. Silence also strengthens presence. When you are comfortable with silence, you no longer seek constant stimulation or validation. You become grounded. This presence naturally commands respect. People sense calmness and confidence in those who are not desperate to speak or explain themselves. Silence becomes a form of authority. In the long run, silence builds clarity of purpose. It aligns thoughts, emotions, and actions. It helps you move with intention instead of confusion. Silence teaches patience, awareness, and self-control. When you regularly return to silence, life becomes less chaotic and more directed. In conclusion, silence is not withdrawal, it is refinement. It clears mental clutter, strengthens emotional control, and sharpens focus. Through silence, clarity is built, decisions become cleaner, and inner strength grows. Those who master silence master themselves, and clarity naturally follows. Your body is not separate from your mind, it is the gateway to it. Before a single thought forms, before confidence or fear appears, your physical state is already set in the direction. The way you sit, stand, breathe, move, and carry tension sends constant signals to your brain. These signals shape emotions, influence decisions, and determine how you experience the world. When you learn to lead through the body, the mind naturally follows. Most people try to change their mindset only through thinking. They repeat affirmations, analyze problems, and search for motivation, yet ignore the physical state they are operating from. A slouched posture, shallow breathing, and low energy silently reinforce doubt, hesitation, and weakness. The brain interprets these signals as danger or fatigue. No matter how positive the thoughts are, the body keeps pulling the mind back into stress and insecurity. Posture is one of the strongest examples of how the body leads the mind. An upright posture with relaxed shoulders and a lifted chest instantly changes how you feel. It increases oxygen flow, improves circulation, and signals confidence to the nervous system. The mind responds by becoming more alert and focused. Over time, this physical alignment conditions self-belief and presence. Confidence is not only a mental concept, it is a physical practice. Breathing is another powerful driver. Fast, shallow breathing keeps the body in survival mode. This state produces anxiety, overthinking, and emotional reactivity. Slow, deep breathing activates calmness and control. When the breath slows, the heart rate stabilizes, and the brain receives the message that you are safe. This creates mental clarity and emotional balance. By controlling your breath, You gain direct influence over your thoughts and reactions. Movement also shapes mindset. Physical activity releases tension stored in the body and clears mental fog. When you move with intention, strength, and rhythm, the mind becomes sharper and more disciplined. Exercise builds resilience not only in muscles but in character. Each repetition teaches consistency, patience, and endurance. These qualities transfer directly into mental strength and daily decision-making. Your daily habits further reinforce this connection. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, and physical routines all affect how the mind functions. A neglected body produces a restless mind. Poor energy leads to low motivation and weak focus. A disciplined body creates mental stability. When the body is cared for, the mind becomes more capable of handling pressure, stress, and responsibility. Emotional control is also rooted in the body. Emotions are physical sensations before they are thoughts. Tightness in the chest, tension in the jaw, shallow breath, and clenched muscles all influence how emotions escalate. When you relax the body, emotions lose intensity. And learning to release physical tension helps regulate emotional responses. Calmness becomes accessible through physical awareness. Your body language also shapes identity. The way you walk, sit, and move communicates self-respect to both yourself and others. When your movements are deliberate and controlled, the mind aligns with that identity. You begin to think and act like someone who is grounded and confident. Identity is reinforced through repeated physical expression. In the long term, mastering the body builds mental leadership. Instead of waiting to feel motivated or confident, you act first through the body. You stand strong, breathe deeply, and move with purpose. The mind follows this lead. Discipline replaces hesitation, and clarity replaces confusion. In conclusion, your body is the foundation of your mental state. By controlling posture, breath, movement, and physical habits, you influence thoughts, emotions, and confidence. When the body leads with strength and discipline, the mind naturally aligns. Master the body and you gain control over the mind. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you possess, yet most people waste it daily on things that add no value to their lives. Attention, emotion, and effort are limited, and where you place them determines the quality of your results, your peace of mind, and your personal growth. Not every problem needs your reaction. Not every opinion needs your response. And not every situation deserves your emotional investment. Learning to protect your energy is a sign of maturity, strength, and self-respect. Many people live in a constant state of mental exhaustion because they feel obligated to react to everything. They argue over opinions that do not matter, worry about outcomes they cannot control, and carry emotional burdens that are not theirs to carry. This constant engagement drains focus and weakens inner stability. When your energy is scattered, your progress slows, and your sense of direction becomes unclear. Understanding that energy must be spent intentionally changes everything. When you pause before reacting, you regain control. Silence in many situations is more powerful than explanation. Walking away from unnecessary conflict preserves mental clarity. Choosing not to engage with negativity keeps your emotional state balanced. These choices are not signs of weakness. They are expressions of discipline and wisdom. Not everything deserves your emotional reaction. Emotional reactions are costly because they consume mental strength and often lead to regret. When you react impulsively, you give control of your inner state to external triggers. By staying calm and selective, you keep that control within yourself. Emotional restraint allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. This creates confidence and authority in your presence. People's opinions are another major drain of energy. Everyone has something to say, but not every voice deserves a place in your mind. When you allow criticism, judgment, or comparison to influence your self-worth, you surrender your power. Most opinions are shaped by personal insecurity, limited perspective, or projection. Detaching from unnecessary opinions frees you to focus on your own standards and values. Distractions also silently steal energy. Endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, and constant noise fragment attention. Each distraction pulls you away from purpose and reduces the depth of your focus. When you minimize distractions, you create space for clarity and productivity. Energy conserved from distractions can be redirected toward learning, growth, and meaningful action. Conflict is another area where energy is often wasted. Not every disagreement requires correction. Not every misunderstanding needs explanation. Some battles are not meant to be fought because they offer no reward. Choosing peace over proving a point protects your inner balance. True strength lies in knowing when to engage and when to let go. Protecting your energy also means setting boundaries. Boundaries define what you allow into your life and what you refuse to entertain. They prevent emotional overload and preserve self-respect. When you clearly decide what matters to you, decisions become easier and distractions lose their power. Boundaries create emotional safety and mental clarity. When you stop wasting energy on unimportant matters, your focus sharpens. You become more intentional with your time and actions. Goals feel clearer, and progress feels lighter. Energy saved from unnecessary engagement fuels discipline, creativity, and confidence. Life becomes less chaotic and more purposeful. In the end, not everything deserves your energy, but the right things do. Your growth, peace, health, and purpose are worthy of your attention. By choosing carefully where you invest your energy, you regain control over your life. Calm replaces chaos, clarity replaces confusion, and strength replaces exhaustion. This is not withdrawal from life, it is mastery over it. Discomfort is often misunderstood as something negative, something to be avoided, or something that signals danger or failure. In reality, discomfort is one of the clearest signs that growth is taking place. Every meaningful change in life begins with a period of unease, uncertainty, and resistance. When you feel uncomfortable, it usually means you are stepping beyond what is familiar, and familiarity is where stagnation lies. Growth requires leaving the comfort zone, and discomfort is the doorway you must walk through. The human mind naturally seeks comfort and safety. It prefers routine, predictability, and ease. While this instinct is useful for survival, it becomes a limitation when left unchecked. Comfort keeps you where you are, not where you could be. Discomfort challenges the mind to adapt, learn, and expand. It forces you to develop new skills, new perspectives, and new strengths. Without discomfort, potential remains dormant. Discomfort builds resilience. Each time you face something difficult and choose not to retreat, you strengthen your ability to handle future challenges. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Over time, your tolerance for stress increases and your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself more, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. This resilience is earned only through repeated exposure to discomfort. Growth often feels chaotic at first. When you try something new, you may feel awkward, insecure, or unsure. This uncertainty is not a sign of incompetence, it is a sign of learning. Mastery is built through repetition under pressure. Every expert was once uncomfortable in the early stages. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stuck is the willingness to endure this phase without quitting. Discomfort also reveals character. When faced with difficulty, excuses and avoidance are tempting. Choosing discipline instead of escape builds integrity. You prove to yourself that you can act despite fear. This self-trust becomes a foundation for confidence. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move forward while fear is present. Discomfort trains this ability. Physical discomfort is a clear example of growth in action. Exercise strains the body, but that strain is what strengthens muscles and endurance. Mental and emotional growth work the same way. Challenging conversations, difficult decisions, and unfamiliar environments stretch the mind. These experiences build emotional intelligence, clarity, and self-control. Avoiding discomfort weakens these muscles. Discomfort also sharpens awareness. When you are uncomfortable, you become more present. You pay attention. You observe your thoughts, reactions, and patterns. This awareness is a powerful tool for self-improvement. It allows you to identify weaknesses, fears, and limiting beliefs. Once seen, they can be addressed and transformed. Many people misinterpret discomfort as a warning to stop. In reality, it is often a signal to continue. Of course, wisdom is required to distinguish between harmful situations and growth challenges. However, most everyday discomfort, such as fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of change, is not dangerous. It is simply unfamiliar. Facing it expands your capacity. When you begin to welcome discomfort instead of resisting it, your relationship with fear changes. Fear becomes guidance rather than obstruction. You start seeking challenges because you understand their value. Progress accelerates because you are no longer waiting to feel ready. You act, learn, adjust, and grow. In the end, discomfort is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It shows you where growth is possible and where strength is waiting to be developed. Every step taken in discomfort moves you closer to your potential. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it shape you. Growth is rarely comfortable, but is always worth it. All of these principles lead to one powerful truth: growth, strength, and clarity are built through conscious choice, not comfort. When you understand that not everything deserves your energy, you reclaim control over your focus and emotional state. When you recognize discomfort as a signal of growth, you stop running from challenge and start using it as a guide. You no longer fear a knees, silence, or difficulty because you understand their purpose in shaping a stronger mind. This journey is not about becoming emotionless or detached from life. It is about becoming intentional. It is about choosing where your attention goes, how you respond, and what you allow to influence you. By protecting your energy, embracing discomfort, and staying disciplined through challenge, you build resilience that cannot be shaken by external noise. Your confidence becomes grounded, not reactive. Real strength is quiet. It shows in calm decisions, focused action, and the ability to move forward without needing validation or comfort. As you apply these lessons consistently, clarity replaces confusion, discipline replaces excuses, and purpose replaces distraction. You begin to live from the inside out, guided by values rather than circumstances. This is not a one-time transformation, but a daily practice. Each choice to stay focused, each moment you face discomfort instead of avoiding it, and each time you protect your energy brings you closer to your strongest self. Stay committed to this path. Growth will follow, confidence will deepen, and your life will reflect the strength of the mind you have built.